civil parish of Treales, Roseacre and Wharles lies 2 miles to the east of Kirkham in the borough of Fylde in Lancashire in the northwest of England. This parish has a long and rich history, and Treales is a settlement that is mentioned in records as far back as the Norman Conquest. In February 2014, plans were announced for exploratory drilling and working for shale gas at a site near Roseacre Wood. Local residents have since suffered anxiety and worry concerning lack of regulation, substantial health risks from air and water pollution, damage to their local environment through chemical spills, and an increase in HGV traffic on roads not suitable for purpose. This map shows the proximity of buildings to the site in the villages of Roseacre and Wharles. All of the houses in Roseacre are less than 400 metres away, and some are even closer, the nearest family home being less than 300 metres. Residents are fighting hard to block these plans which will destroy their community. Lancashire County Council has already received over 10,000 objections for this site alone.
Really, it's going to ruin the community as we've got a lot of green land and it will completely destroy it in my opinion. Our community is so closely bonded together and there's lots of green and it's not like cities and we need to preserve areas like this, so I think fracking's a very bad idea.
There are lots of concerns, and the more you try and find out to alleviate those concerns, the more worrying it actually gets on a whole range of levels. It's incumbent on us for our environment, our community, to ask those questions, to raise those concerns and try and get good answers. It will impact on people's lives, it will impact on the infrastructure of our villages, it will impact on the agricultural industry that we have, and that might have long-term future consequences.
The proposed route is 11.5 miles from junction 3 of the M55 motorway, meaning thousands of additional vehicle movements along our already busy roads and quiet rural roads. Ministry of Transport official figures show that rural roads already account for 2/3 of road deaths. After leaving the M55 motorway at junction 3, the traffic will firstly go through the villages of Medlar, Wesham and Kirkham along the A585 Fleetwood Road and onto the A583 Blackpool to Preston Road near Kirkham. These roads are already very busy, heavily congested at peak times. After 5.5 miles, the traffic will then take a sharp left turn off the A road and onto our B roads into the heart of rural Fylde. The first village is Clifton, a small, quiet village which already has to cope with a large number of vehicles travelling to and from Springfields. This extra traffic will only add to their existing worries. The speed limit is 20 miles an hour because it's a village and a potential accident zone. Look how close the children's playground is to the road. This playground is very popular after school, in the evenings and at weekends. Once through Clifton, the traffic will then go through Solwick past the Springfield site and over the narrow railway bridge, only 5.5 metres wide, steel barriers needed each side, before reaching the first of very many 90-degree bends. These country lanes are already difficult for cars, farm vehicles and other road users. Look how narrow the footpaths are and how close the houses are to the road. Visibility is limited. How close will the vehicles have to pass? What if two vehicles meet at one of these bends? Ask yourself, how safe will this be? After Solwick, we come to the popular leisure spot near the Hand and Dagger, with many visitors enjoying the lovely setting and good home-cooked food. The picnic tables outside are always popular. The road here runs right alongside the Lancaster Canal, which is a popular public footpath used by many, especially dog walkers. The canoe club meets twice weekly, attracting youth groups and children. The visitors park their cars alongside the road, which will create an additional hazard as people offload canoes and cycles. The road is also used by many cars, motorcycles and bicycles, especially in the evenings and weekends. What will be the impact of all this additional traffic? Sight vehicles now have to take a sharp left turn, followed immediately by a sharp right turn into Dagger Road. This involves pulling out across the road to negotiate the corners. Visibility is already severely restricted. What happens when a car is approaching? Who has to give way? What happens if a tractor is driving down to the fields? a horse rider just around the corner. As you can see, Dagger Road is extremely narrow, down to just 4.5 metres in many places. The road is used regularly by cars, cyclists, horse riders and farm vehicles daily. There are 3 livery yards and several farms located along this road. It is impossible for an HGV and another vehicle to pass safely. How will a car towing a caravan back up? And what about the poor cyclist? Quadrilla wants to get round this by building 5 30-metre passing places along this narrow country lane, digging up the hedgerows and verges and concreting over green areas. Just imagine the backlog of vehicles. Where will the horse rider go? Is this maintaining the character of rural landscape? No, it is not. What about the non-resident road users facing the HGV traffic as they travel through the area? Many will be forced to take different routes, for instance past the local church, the primary school, village pubs and through other small villages. Immediately after the bridge over the M55 motorway, there is another dangerous 90-degree bend with very poor visibility. This is where another small country lane joins Dagger Road, bringing more cyclists and horse riders from the canal side. After 2 miles along Dagger and Solent roads, the traffic comes to a T-junction where it has to swing out across the road to turn sharp left onto Inskip Road. Shortly after this, the route passes Pointer House, a quaint mid-17th century thatched listed building with ancient foundations. Here, the traffic has to turn sharp right onto Roseacre Road and into the pretty hamlet of Wharles, passing a small green where children often play. Many houses face onto the road in Wharles, some only a few feet away from the road edge. The pavements here are very narrow and in some places non-existent, forcing people to walk onto the road. In Wharles, there are 2 more 90-degree bends which traffic already struggles to negotiate, especially if farm vehicles are using the road. As you will see, the area is very popular with visitors taking part in a number of leisure activities. The relatively flat landscape makes the lanes popular with hundreds of cyclists and horse riders linked with the Lancashire Cycleway, as well as being used by several cycling and triathlon clubs for training and charity events. Lancashire Endurance Riders Association also use these lanes, and there is an annual riding event. There are a further 3 livery yards and 2 touring caravan sites on Roseacre Road. School buses use this road every day, picking up local children. There are also several farms directly accessed from Roseacre Road. What happens when the dairy herd is being moved from field to field along the lanes or crossing the road to the farm for milking? Not surprisingly, Quadrilla have failed to take account of most of this in their environmental statement. They have, however, recognised the lanes are unsuitable for all this traffic and are proposing to install another 5 passing places along this short part of the route between Wharles village and their site. Each one is 25 metres long but tapering over 55 metres, effectively creating a series of laybys. Each passing place will mean losing 1.5 to 2 metres of the existing grass verges, destroying the natural habitat for wildlife. Is this in keeping with the rural, unspoiled nature of the area? No, it is certainly not. Finally, after 11.5 miles of difficult roads, we eventually reach Quadrilla's proposed site, where they intend installing security gates on both sides of Roseacre Road, creating turning areas for HGVs, 4-metre high security fences, a 53-metre drilling rig, 2 flaring stacks, generators, compressors, mud storage tanks, separators, offices, lighting it up day and night, creating noise 24/7 from their drilling operations. Would you want to come and visit this area? Would you feel safe using these roads with all this extra heavy traffic? Rural roads already account for 2/3 of all road deaths, and most of those roads don't have this inflicted on them. Local ramblers and walking clubs regularly use the lanes and public footpaths in this area, and like cyclists, these are the vulnerable road users most frequently the victims of serious accidents and fatalities on such roads.